فوق كل ذي علم عليم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأصلي وأسلم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين، وبعد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I welcome all of you all to this program on preparing for parenthood. Before we get into the contents of today's topic, I would like to give you a brief about Ilmbook. Ilmbook is an online platform where we will be teaching individuals who belong to different walks of life on different aspects related to marriage, parenting, skill development, youth development, and areas related to spirituality. These are the areas which this Ilmbook will cover, inshallah ta'ala. And the learning circle is a project we have started off, and today is the first session on this, which is going to be a weekly session for 30 to 40 minutes time, where we will be tackling different topics related to marriage, parenting, and skills, and many other areas, inshallah ta'ala. And in addition to these programs, we are also planning to start off, we are going to conduct courses as well related to these subjects in English, in Tamil, using different ulama, different individuals who are experts in the field, inshallah ta'ala, by which we can educate our community, no matter which part of the world you belong to, where you live. We want to make this knowledge accessible and easy to learn for every individual, inshallah ta'ala. So that's a very short brief about Ilmbook. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this initiative, and may He take it strength to strength, and may let it become a beneficial platform for the entire humanity till the day of Qiyamah. So parenthood. So preparing for parenthood is something which anyone who gets married will be getting into, right? It's interesting, right? As Muslims, parenthood is rewarding. It's interesting, right? You will start experiencing different feelings. You will witness your children grow. You will witness your children learn. You will see them attain their potential. We will see them become more individuals who will become a coolness to our eyes. So many things like this. So it's an interesting experience to become a parent. Those who are parents already will get, you will testify to this, but those who are yet to become parents, it's very nice. And Islamically speaking, from an Islamic perspective, if you are to look at parenting, it is as if somebody has got, having a child is like having an extra life. That is how we look at it. Because when we have a certain number of children, and if these children become a means for goodness, all the rewards of that will be reaped by the parents without any, without any decrease. So the complete reward is given to the parents by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we believe in this. So not only being parents is beneficial to us in this world, where life becomes, there's a lot of joy, happiness, all that. In addition to that, if the parenting is done in the right way, it becomes an investment for our akhirah as well. These are things we already know. So having a child is like having an extra life. But anyways, along with all these, beautiful things which are, appealing to the eyes, it's nice to hear. Parenthood also comes with challenges. It has certain demands. It requires a lot of patience. Requires a lot of understanding. It requires a lot of sacrifice. All these things are, it's part of the package. This has to be there. It's not, if there is no gain without, if there is no pain, there is no gain. Similarly, the amount of struggle we undergo, the amount of sacrifice we have to put, the effort, all that put together is the result of a child who will become a coolness to our eyes one day. So I wouldn't say it's easy. So before we become, anybody becomes a parent, they need to have this in mind, that even though everything is nice, everything is going to be beautiful and sweet, similarly, there are challenges and demands it will require, right? You have to meet all that. And the interesting part is, parenting is a lifelong commitment and responsibility. It's a lifelong thing. Till your children are grown up, they attain maturity, they come to an age where they get married, and then they get married and they start their life. But still, as parents, we cannot, there is no time where we will say, okay, we have done our part, you can do whatever you want. So it's a lifelong commitment. If we see our children doing the wrong thing, as parents, we need to stop them, no matter what age they belong to. And if they do the right thing, we need to do certain things in order they have those practices throughout their life. So parenting is a lifelong commitment. It's a lifelong responsibility, even though it might take different forms at different ages of the child. But it is not something which is temporary, but it's a lifelong commitment. That's how parenting is. Then, in addition to that, now the moment we become parents, right? When you talk about the commitment factor, as the mother has her role, the father has his role, right? But when both combine together, both parents are supposed to provide emotional support to their children. That's part of the package. And they need to meet their child's physical needs, psychological needs. They need to impart value. They need to impart guidance. And overall, they need to look into the health of the child in various different aspects of the child's life. They need to look at the physical health, the mental health, the emotional health, the spiritual health of the child. And all this is encompassed in the parenthood. So while this has been said, some people end up becoming parents by chance, and some end up becoming parents by choice. What we mean by this is, yes, the couple gets married, and suddenly they get the good news that they test and they say it's positive. And they say, okay, Alhamdulillah, they're happy about it. They share the good news with the family. And there was no pre-planning before this conception happened, but it all happened with the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it was not pre-planned, and it happened as it happened. But there are some instances where some couples will plan out things and they will choose to become parents. They will choose to become parents. Some situations, it could be because of the time they take to, they will have personal reasons why they want to choose to become parents, and they just don't want to have a child just because they are able to conceive. But anyways, these are the two situations a person can, a child can, a mother can conceive a child. It can be either by chance or either by choice. No matter what it is, it doesn't matter. But both these avenues or these two methods can turn out to become beneficial if the parenting is done in the right path, right? Okay. Now, looking at the human race, looking at all of us, even our existence is also due to our parents being together. If you look at our ancestry, we can go reverse time back to thousands of years ago, and we would see Adam alayhi salam and Hawa alayhi salam. Both of them got together, and they had children, and their children had their children, and the progeny continued. And today, currently, there are about 7 billion people living in this world, and it all started off with two parents. That's where it started. Similarly, our existence too is because of two parents being together. So therefore, one of the key objectives of marriage is, to have children and to let the human race continue to exist in the day of Qiyamah. And this parenthood is something which almost all the prophets did in their lives, with a few exceptions. Like Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he didn't marry and will be marrying, inshallah, once he returns back to the world before the Qiyamah. And according to some scholars, Yahya alayhi salatu wasalam did not marry when he was living in this world. Apart from these two, rest of the prophets whom we know, all married, and all of them had children. All of them had children. Now let's move on to, so that's basically an overview, an introduction to this topic of parenthood and what to expect in the parenting. and what we need to do, inshallah ta'ala, is going to be covered now. Now, when it comes to preparing for parenthood, we are addressing two individuals here. One person is the father, and then is the mother. Right? These are the two individuals whom we are going to address now. And the point number one, which both these parents have to focus on before they become parents, is on an individual level, you need to have a good, sound knowledge about the Islamic teachings. This is number one. The reason why we place this as number one, the priority, is because the objectives of having a child is this child should become an asset for us. This child should become a means of sadaqatul jariyah for us, even after we demise. So in order for our child to become a means of sadaqatul jariyah for us, we as parents are supposed to teach them the right teachings of Islam. Only then we can expect this child to become that. So learning about Islam should start from the couple itself. The couple needs to educate themselves. Tomorrow, our children are going to lead the community. Our children are going to be the leaders of the society. And in order for them to guide the society, to help the society navigate in the right direction, they need to have the right understanding about their faith. They need to have the right understanding about their faith. So they need to learn this. Yes, from the madrasa, they are going to learn it at one point in their life, but limiting it to the madrasa is not right. Instead, the parents are supposed to know about the teachings of Islam in the right manner. So point number one is, when you're preparing for parenthood, you need to educate yourself a lot about the teachings of Islam. Because the moment we educate ourselves about the faith, our faith, that helps us to connect our child to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's going to help us to help our children to live a life with purpose. The moment we have the right understanding about Islam, it is going to help us to connect our children to Allah, and it is going to help our children to find purpose in life. In today's context, there are millions of children around the globe who are in their young teenage, their early teenagers. They don't find purpose in life because there wasn't anyone in their lives to show them this is the purpose of your existence. So the purpose of existence has to be shown by the parents. And getting connected to Allah, that path has to be shown by the parents. So therefore, as parents, we need to educate ourselves on how can we get this thing done. And there are some instances, children are born and they live in a certain culture where the parents are ignorant about the teachings of Islam, where sometimes, unfortunately, some parents don't know to distinguish between culture and religion. So when parents are unable to distinguish between culture and religion, children are left with confusion. Children are left with confusion. For example, there was an instance where I met a brother who told me that he wants to renounce Islam because his mother had told him that he needs to get married at a particular age, and that is according to Islam. That's what the mother's understanding was. So she feared that if my son passes this particular age, it is Islamically wrong for him to get married. That's what her shallow understanding was. And he was telling me, then what's the point in a religion which doesn't understand the needs of a human being? Because he was saying that he wasn't settled at that age to get married, and he was planning to renounce Islam because his mother was forcing him. So you see, having the right knowledge about the teachings of Islam will help the parents, firstly, to differentiate and distinguish between right and wrong, between culture and religion. And that is going to make the children who belong to such families strong believers. There's one more point before we move on from this first point to the next is, especially today, those who are having children, you will have experienced this in your parenting as well. Children have a lot of questions today. We send our children to school, and some of our children are having friends who are atheists. Maybe those children are just 10, 12 years old. And there are some instances, even in our culture, in this part of the world too, the daughters and the sons were born to Islamic families, Muslim families, but they have renounced Islam and they have told their parents that I no longer follow a religion. I don't believe in the existence of Allah. So let me follow what I want to follow. And one of the key reasons for this is the parents' incapability to educate their children on life, on the questions they had, and various other things. They were unable to give them the correct answers. They lost their child after some time. So children will ask us questions when they are young as 6 years old, 7 years old. They will ask questions, and the questions which they ask at that age is different to compared to questions they will ask us when they are 15 years old. So as parents, we need to equip ourselves with the necessary knowledge to handle all these questions. So the moment the children see that the mother and the father are confident and they know to guide them in the right manner, that is a moment where our children will be proud, and they will be confident to practice their faith no matter where they are. So when it comes to preparing for parenthood, point number one is knowledge of Islamic teachings is a must for the mother and the father. The second point is your relationship with your creator. As a man and as a woman, here I'm referring to the mother and the father. What is your personal relationship with your creator? There are many different perspectives, angles you can look at this from, but because of the limited time, let me highlight on certain points here. As human beings, all of us have mental health, emotional health, spiritual health. And when it comes to parenting, this requires a lot of effort, mentally strain. It's an emotional strain, spiritual, strain at times. We might not be able to perform our salah on time. We will not perform our fajr on time. We have so many challenges spiritually. Emotionally, we might find it difficult to, control our anger at times. We might get irritated with our children at times. So all these challenges are part and parcel in parenting. But the moment a person has a very close relationship with Allah, whether he be a father or the mother, this person's heart is attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. So let's say he gets emotionally stressed out. This person has Allah in his side to talk to. He feels a decline in his spirituality. He or she senses that, okay, I need to allocate some time to remember my creator. So when that happens, all these areas come back to the normal state, and they are able to focus on their parenting a lot. Instead of mentally getting, affected, and it affects their parenting and all that. There are many people struggling like that. So emotionally drained out, they are least concerned about doing sacrifice for the sake of their children, and many other things, mainly because of the decline. So when a person is connected to the creator, the probability of this person being a very strong person, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, is extremely high, and it is going to directly have an impact on the parenting. So that's point number two. Your personal relationship with Allah needs to improve when you're planning to become a parent, or even as a parent. The third point is, this is for those who are not married, right? In a hadith, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the narration is in Ibn Majah, "Takhayyaru li nutfikum." Choose the best for your sperm. Choose the best person for your sperm, and marry compatible women and propose marriage to them. So what it means is, you need to look where are you going to sow the seed. In other words, who is going to be my child's mother? Who is going to be my child's father? This is something you need to see before your marriage. So yes, at the time of marriage, yes, you have to look at that person as your to-be partner. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, you have to look at another one beyond it. Okay, this person is going to be the one who will parent my child within the next couple of years. So choose the best for your sperm, and marry compatible women and propose them to marriage. That is the literal translation of the hadith. And the moment you choose someone who is compatible with you, where you share the same values, you share the same beliefs, you share the same goals, that is going to contribute towards your approach to parenting. So if your values and your spouse's values are different, it can become challenging when it comes to parenting. So your values, your beliefs, your goals, if it is unified, if they are similar, it becomes a plus point for your parenting. So choose the right person as your partner and look at them as the father or the mother to be of your children. That's number 3. There are a lot of points in this, but anyways, just taking key points out. So point number 1 is knowledge about your Islamic teachings. Number 2 is your personal relationship with Allah. Number 3 is choosing the right spouse. Number 4 is the intention a mother and the father needs to have the moment they receive the news of conception. When the mother experience, okay, I am expecting now, this is a moment we need to have high intentions. We need to have far-sighted goals. A simple example is mentioned in the Quran, where we can follow as well. When Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam's mother became pregnant, she told this. إذ قالت امرأة عمران ربي إني نذرت لك ما في بطني محررا. When she became pregnant, when she conceived, she told, Ya Allah, O my Rabb, I have vowed to you that the child which is in my womb, I have vowed it to, I want to dedicate it for your service. I want this child in my womb to serve the Baitul Maqdis. I want this child in my womb to serve the Baitul Maqdis. This is to happen decades later, but still, that was the intentions of that mother. But to see, when she gave birth, she was expecting a boy, but Allah's plan was, no, it's not going to be a boy, it's going to be a girl. And that girl was Maryam alayhi salam. And when she gave birth to the girl, she thought to herself, okay, I intended that this child is going to be, dedicated for the worship in the Baitul Maqdis. Then if it is a girl, how can I do that? But her intentions were sincere. Allah made it such that Maryam alayhi salatu wasalam was given a child who was Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. That is Hannah alayhi salatu wasalam's grandchild became Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. And he does what his grandmother wanted her child to do. So it's a long story, but the point which I'm trying to highlight here is, when the moment we conceive, different people will have different intentions, but there's nothing wrong in having strong intentions like, Ya Allah, I want this child to become a great Muslim who will become an ambassador of truth, who will become an asset to the entire humanity. And from day one, if the mother and the father can keep such intentions, they are going to keep repeating this in their du'as, and they are going to see it sometimes while they're alive, and sometimes even if they are not alive, their generations will fulfill the dream and the du'as of the grandparents. Right. And point number 5 is, after having good intentions, is having knowledge about parenting. It's very important. Insha'Allah ta'ala, Ilmbook, we are planning to have courses on parenting as well in the near future. But just to highlight a few points for this talk today, parenting is a skill. Parenting is a skill. You can learn it and you can improve. You can learn and you can improve. And the moment parents, the father and the mother, when they start seeking knowledge about parenting, they will start learning about the development stages of the child. So how you deal with a child who is 5 years is not the way you would deal with a 10-year-old. The way you would deal with a 1-year-old child, there are certain things you do with that child is not what you would do with a 4-year-old child. And what you do with your teenage son is not what you would do with your son who is in the latter part of his teenage. So you start to learn about the developmental stages. You start to learn about the developing mind of your child, because parenting is it's a skill. It's an acquired skill, and you can acquire these techniques on how to talk to them. The way you talk to a child is different. The way you talk to a teenager is different. How do we discipline? How do we solve problems? How do we control our children from falling into different types of addictions sometimes? How do we talk about certain teachings of Islam? How do we talk about what do we talk to them in each age category? And there are many things like this which the parents need to learn. Most of the time what happens is we usually replicate the behavior we saw in our homes. Yes, there are some good things we have learned from our parents and our grandparents. There's no doubt about that. But can we copy and paste all what we have got from them? The answer is no, because the challenges we are facing in our times is totally different. So as parents, even before you become a mother or a father, learning about parenting is going to make your parenting journey very interesting. So seek knowledge about parenting, and you need to grow yourself throughout. And two more points, and then we are done, inshallah ta'ala. Point number 6 is the environment where your child is going to grow. As a father and a mother, both of you have to get together and make this environment an environment which is supportive to your child to have a healthy growth. So it starts off with, what is your relationship with your spouse? What is your relationship with your spouse? Some scholars say, if two spouses are not in good terms, they are into disputes and arguments, and their marriage is, it's shaky, it's unpredictable whether it might end up in a divorce, things like that, then scholars say, then don't think of having children. They discourage having children. So what is the relationship between you and your spouse is something you need to analyze before conceiving. And both have to put a lot of thought to this. There might be, because the child needs a positive environment where the child doesn't see abuse, the child doesn't see the violation of the teachings of Islam, the child doesn't see no evil around it. If we can set up the environment such, the child will find it easy to do the right thing. So the environment where there are the correct values, the family values are there, the family bonding is there, there is good communication between the mother and the father, there is good understanding between the mother and the father. If these type of things are there in a home, we can call it a supportive environment to that child, because the child is going to learn from that place. Finally, to conclude with, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and even in the Quran, there are various different du'as which can be recited. One du'a which he taught us is, which all those who are married should by now, you need to memorize this du'a, that he said, when the husband and wife decide to be in a union, it is sunnah for them to recite the du'a, Bismillahi Allahumma jannibna shaitan, wa jannibi shaitan ma razaqtana. What does it mean? When they are about to be intimate with each other, they are saying, Bismillah, in the name of Allah, Allahumma jannibna shaitan. Ya Allah, keep shaitan away from us, and keep shaitan away from what you have decreed through this union. So parents seeking protection from shaitan is one, and the parents are also seeking protection for the child which Allah may decree through the union. So the child is not existing, it's not in existence, but the parents are making dua for that child, that the child would be protected from shaitan. What it means is one of the two. One meaning is, scholars say, the parents who recite this dua and they are intimate, and if Allah decrees that there is going to be conception through the union, this child will be protected from major sins. Number two, this child will not, it is guaranteed that this child will die as a Muslim. So these are the two guarantees given to the parents who recite this dua at the time of being together. And then in addition to this, there are various different du'as in the Quran as well, which different people have recited. Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam has recited the dua. Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam has recited a particular dua. At the time of birth, when the child is born and when the child is taken to the hand, and it was recited by Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam, Ij'alha rabbi radiya. Ya Allah, Allahumma inni u'idhuha bika wa dhurriyyataha minash shaitanir rajim. She saw the child, took the child to her hand, and she recited this. Ya Allah, I ask you to protect her and her generations, her progeny, from the accursed shaitan. It is still an infant, just born, but the parents are making dua for the generations of the child. So that is, in other words, their grandchildren. So these are 7 key areas which parents need to, prepare themselves before they become parents. I'll just repeat the 7 points. Number 1 is knowledge about Islamic teachings. Both mother and the father needs to do this. Your personal relationship with Allah. Number 2. Number 3 is choose the right spouse who will be compatible with who shares the same values, beliefs, and goals like you. Number 4 is have high intentions, high goals when you're planning to have children. Number 5, seek knowledge about parenting, because parenting is a skill you can learn and improve throughout life. And by learning about parenting, parenting becomes an interesting aspect of, in our day-to-day life. Number 6, provide a supportive environment to your children. Finally, there are certain du'as to be recited for our children, even before they are born, at the time of birth, and even after their birth. By this, insha'Allah ta'ala, we will be able to start doing the best thing to our children, where they will become true assets to us in this world and in the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this gathering of ours, and may He help us to practice what we have learned. Jazakallah khairah for joining us today in this session. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this initiative we have taken. And please, you all to make dua for this initiative, where this platform, Ilmbook, becomes a means for you all to benefit in life, and where millions around the globe would benefit through this initiative, insha'Allah ta'ala.